She mistook a CEO for the man helping her lift boxes, but that mistake changed everything. Hello everyone. Before we begin today's story, I have a small favor to ask. Please hit subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you never miss our channel's new videos. It's quick, free, and the best way to support us in bringing you more dramatic stories. Your support means the world to us. Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments below. Thank you very much. Now, let's dive into today's story. You won't want to miss this one. It all started on a sunny morning in early spring. Emma Brooks, a young woman in her mid-20s, stood in the bustling parking lot of a local storage facility, her hands struggling to balance the weight of a few large moving boxes. She had just moved into a new apartment, a tiny one-bedroom in a building on the outskirts of the city. It wasn't much, but it was hers. She was trying to juggle several heavy boxes, the kind you'd expect to see in a cluttered storage unit, when she noticed a man walking toward her. He was tall, dressed casually in a plain t-shirt and jeans, and had a relaxed air about him. "Need some help?" he asked, his voice calm but firm, with a hint of a smile playing on his lips. Emma hesitated for a moment, feeling a bit embarrassed. But she had no choice. "Yes, please," she said, grateful but trying not to appear too needy. The man immediately moved to help, effortlessly lifting one of the boxes from her hands. His strength was apparent as he easily carried the heavy load. She could feel the relief wash over her as she no longer had to strain her arms. The man's kindness, though simple, was a welcomed break in the middle of what had been a stressful morning. As they walked together toward her apartment, she started talking to him about how difficult the move had been. "I'm really trying to get my life together," Emma said, a little awkwardly, glancing at him. "I've always dreamed of being a successful artist, but it's just been hard to get started." The man, who introduced himself as Liam, nodded in understanding. "I get it," he said, glancing at her with genuine interest. "I know how tough it can be when things don't go according to plan." Emma smiled, appreciating his understanding, but she didn't think much of it. To her, he was just a helpful stranger who happened to be in the right place at the right time. She never imagined that this simple act of kindness would turn into something much more. As they reached her apartment, Liam set the boxes down. "Good luck with everything," he said with a warm smile. "I hope your dreams come true." Emma thanked him, watching him walk away, not thinking twice about who he really was. Little did she know, Liam was not just any stranger. He was Liam Parker, the CEO of a tech company, one of the youngest and most successful entrepreneurs in the city. But he had chosen to help her that day, not because of his wealth or status, but simply because it was the right thing to do. Emma, still unaware of his true identity, was about to experience a series of events that would forever change her life. Stay tuned to see what happens next. As the days passed, Emma settled into her new apartment. It wasn't much, but it was hers. She was determined to make a fresh start. Each morning, she'd walk down the street to a small cafe where she'd sit with her sketchbook and a coffee, trying to work on her art. But no matter how hard she tried, the bills piled up. Rent, food, supplies for her artwork. Everything seemed to drain her bank account faster than she could fill it. It wasn't the life she had imagined when she first dreamed of becoming a successful artist. Yet, she pushed through. She had to. Emma's phone buzzed one afternoon while she was walking home from the cafe. It was a message from her best friend, Jenny. "Hey, I've got tickets for that charity gala tomorrow. You coming?" The charity gala Jenny mentioned was one of the biggest events in the city. People from all walks of life, entrepreneurs, artists, philanthropists, gathered to raise money for various causes. Emma had always wanted to attend, but never had the funds. Still, Jenny had been persistent. "It'll be fun," Jenny texted. "And besides, you never know who you might meet." Emma hesitated. The thought of going to a fancy gala in her old second-hand dress felt out of place. But she knew Jenny wouldn't let up, so she agreed. The next evening, Emma found herself standing in front of a grand ballroom. She adjusted the straps of her dress, a modest black number she had managed to find at a local thrift store, and walked up to the entrance. She was nervous, but excited. The gala was everything she had imagined. Elegant, glittering, and filled with people who seemed to belong in a different world. As she entered the ballroom, she couldn't help but feel out of place. The expensive chandeliers, the perfectly groomed guests, and the polished conversations made her feel small. But Jenny was there, pulling her into the crowd, introducing her to people left and right. Emma tried to hide her discomfort, nodding politely as she smiled and made small talk. Just then, her eyes landed on a familiar face across the room. It was Liam. She froze. There he was, standing tall in a perfectly tailored suit, talking with a group of people. Emma's heart skipped a beat. She hadn't expected to see him here, but the moment their eyes met, Liam smiled at her. He waved her over. As she walked toward him, her mind raced. Was he here for business? Was he just another guest like the others? She couldn't help but wonder how much of a difference there was between the man she had met earlier that week and the one standing in front of her now, surrounded by people who seemed to admire him. Emma, I didn't expect to see you here, Liam said, his voice warm and friendly. He didn't seem out of place at all in the elegant setting. I didn't either, Emma replied, trying to hide the nervousness in her voice. I just came with a friend. Well, I'm glad you did. I didn't realize you were into charity events, Liam said with a chuckle. It's a good cause, Emma said, feeling awkward. I don't exactly belong in a place like this, but it's nice to be here. I'm sure you belong more than you think, Liam said, his smile reassuring. In fact, you might be surprised at how many people here are just like you, trying to make their mark, trying to follow their dreams. As they continued talking, Emma started to relax. She found herself opening up to him more than she had intended. She told him about her struggles as an artist, the endless hours of work that didn't always pay off, and the uncertainty of not knowing where her next meal would come from. Liam listened intently, his gaze focused on her, as if he genuinely cared. He didn't interrupt, and there was no judgment in his eyes. You know, Liam said after a moment, I think it's people like you who make a real difference in the world. You've got passion, and that's something money can't buy. Emma felt her cheeks flush. She didn't know how to respond to that. She had always struggled with believing in herself, and to hear him say those words meant more than she could express. They continued to talk for a while longer before the evening started winding down. As the gala drew to a close, Liam offered to give Emma a ride home. It's the least I can do, he said. After all, you helped me out the other day. Emma wasn't sure what to make of it. She hadn't expected Liam to go out of his way to help her. She had thought their brief encounter was just that, a brief encounter. But here he was, offering to drive her home like they were old friends. The ride back was quiet, but comfortable. Emma found herself glancing at Liam every so often, trying to figure out if she had missed something. He was kind, genuine, and seemingly down to earth, far removed from the image of the CEO she had imagined him to be. When they arrived at her apartment, Liam stopped the car and turned to her. I'm really glad we met, he said, his tone sincere. If you ever need anything, don't hesitate to reach out. Emma smiled, feeling a warmth in her chest. Thank you, Liam. I appreciate it. As she stepped out of the car and waved him goodbye, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Something about that evening, that conversation, felt like the start of something bigger than she could understand. And little did she know, Liam Parker had already decided to make a move that would change both of their lives forever. The following week, Emma couldn't shake the feeling that something had changed. Every time she passed by the storage facility or even glanced at her phone, she found herself thinking about Liam. She tried to push those thoughts aside, focusing instead on her work and her dreams of becoming a successful artist. But something was different. There was an odd sense of anticipation that lingered in her chest. She had no idea why she was feeling this way, especially since they had only exchanged a few words at the gala. But still, she couldn't stop thinking about him. Then, one afternoon, her phone buzzed with a message. It was from an unknown number. Hi, Emma. It's Liam. I hope you're doing well. I wanted to check in and see how things were going. I know we haven't talked much since the gala, but I've been thinking about our conversation. Would you like to grab coffee sometime this week? Let me know. Emma stared at the message for a moment. She had been wondering if he was going to reach out, but receiving the message caught her by surprise. She wasn't sure if she should be excited, nervous, or just play it cool. But she couldn't help herself. A smile tugged at the corners of her lips. Sure, sounds great. How about tomorrow afternoon? She quickly typed back. The next day, Emma met Liam at a cozy cafe near her apartment. When she walked in, she spotted him immediately. He was sitting at a table near the window, his eyes scanning the room until they landed on her. He stood up with a warm smile, and Emma felt a familiar flutter in her chest. Hey, Emma, Liam greeted her, his voice as calming as ever. It's good to see you again. She smiled, feeling a little more at ease. You too. Thanks for reaching out. As they sat down, they quickly fell into a comfortable conversation. Liam asked her about her artwork, about how things had been going with her move and her new life. Emma, on the other hand, found herself asking him more personal questions, things she hadn't dared to ask the first time they met. She learned that Liam had built his tech company from the ground up, that he was passionate about giving back to the community, and that he had a genuine interest in helping people find their way in life. It was a side of him she hadn't expected. He wasn't just a successful CEO. He was kind, thoughtful, and down to earth. The more they talked, the more Emma realized how much she enjoyed his company. He was easy to talk to, his laughter contagious, and his sincerity comforting. And as much as she tried to deny it, she couldn't ignore the chemistry between them. It was undeniable. By the time they finished their coffee, Emma found herself feeling both content and conflicted. On one hand, she was thrilled to be getting to know Liam better. On the other, she couldn't shake the feeling that there was something more to this connection, something deeper than she could fully understand. As they said their goodbyes outside the cafe, Liam surprised her again. "I've been thinking about something, Emma," he said, his tone more serious now. "I know things might seem complicated, but I want to help you with your art. I think you have real potential, and I'd love to help you get your work out there. Would you consider collaborating with me on a project? I can offer you the resources, the space, and the connections to make it happen." Emma's eyes widened. She hadn't expected that, but the offer was tempting. She had always dreamed of having the right platform to showcase her work, but she never imagined someone like Liam, a successful CEO, would be willing to support her. She felt a mix of excitement and doubt. Was this really happening? I don't know what to say," Emma replied, her voice trembling slightly. "This is so generous of you, but why me?" Liam smiled, his eyes softening. "Because I believe in you, Emma. You've got something special. I know it might feel like too much too soon, but I'm offering you a chance. It's up to you whether or not you take it." Emma was stunned. She had never expected someone like Liam, with all his wealth and power, to be so invested in her dreams. It felt almost surreal. But as she looked into his eyes, she saw nothing but sincerity. This wasn't a business deal, it was a genuine offer of help. "I'll think about it," Emma said, still processing everything. "Thank you, Liam. Really. Take your time," he said, his smile reassuring. "No pressure. Just know that the offer is there if you decide to take it." As Liam walked away, Emma stood there for a moment, feeling a mix of disbelief and hope. She couldn't understand why he was doing this for her, but she knew one thing for sure. Her life was about to change, in ways she could never have imagined. And as much as she was terrified of taking that leap, she couldn't ignore the pull of opportunity, of a future she had only ever dreamed of. The following week, Emma found herself overwhelmed with Liam's offer. She had spent days thinking about it, weighing the pros and cons, but the uncertainty was suffocating. Could she really take that leap? Was she ready for something this big? She had always dreamed of having her own art studio, of showcasing her work to the world, but the idea of working with someone so powerful, someone like Liam, scared her. It wasn't just the fame or the resources, it was the idea of being seen, the idea of being worthy of it. But at the same time, the opportunity was too good to pass up. Her small apartment, the one she had been so proud of, started feeling more like a cage. She knew she had to try. If she turned this down, would she regret it forever? The next morning, she typed a message to Liam. "I've thought about your offer, and I'd like to take you up on it. I'll need some time to get everything in order, but I'm ready to work with you." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard for a moment before she pressed send. A wave of nervous excitement washed over her. It felt like she had just opened a door to a whole new world. Later that day, Liam responded almost immediately. "I'm so glad to hear that, Emma. Let's meet tomorrow and discuss the details. We'll take this one step at a time, no pressure." His words reassured her, but the nervousness in her stomach didn't fade. The next day, Emma met Liam at a sleek, modern office building in the heart of the city. The lobby was grand, with polished marble floors and contemporary art pieces hanging on the walls. It felt like the kind of place where dreams were made, but it also felt completely foreign to her. She couldn't shake the feeling that she didn't belong. Liam was waiting for her in the lobby, dressed in a sharp suit, looking every bit the CEO he was. He greeted her with a warm smile. "Welcome, Emma. I'm really excited about what we can accomplish together." She smiled back, though her nerves were still evident. Thank you for this opportunity, Liam. I can't believe this is happening. Liam led her up to his office, a spacious room with a panoramic view of the city. He sat her down in front of a large desk, and they began to talk about the details of the project. We'll start small, Liam explained, his voice calm and reassuring. I'll give you the resources you need, but this will be your project. I want you to be in control of the vision, the direction, everything. My role is to support you. Emma listened intently, trying to process everything he was saying. It all sounded too good to be true, but the sincerity in Liam's eyes told her this wasn't some business deal. He genuinely believed in her. They discussed the specifics of the collaboration, how she would have access to his company's connections, how they would find space for her to work, how they would set up a network for her to showcase her art. It was everything she had ever dreamed of and more. As they talked, Emma began to relax. The doubts that had plagued her earlier started to fade, replaced by a new sense of confidence. This was happening. She could do this. But just as she started to feel more comfortable, Liam's tone shifted. Emma, I want to be honest with you, he said, leaning forward slightly. There's more to this than just business. I see something in you, your passion, your drive. And I want to help you not only with your art, but with your future. This could be the beginning of something bigger, something more. Emma felt a lump form in her throat. She wasn't sure what he meant, but she could sense that this wasn't just about art anymore. This was about her, about the person she could become, the potential he saw in her. She had never imagined someone like Liam, someone so powerful, so influential, would care about her future. Thank you, Emma whispered, her voice trembling slightly. I don't know what to say. This is beyond anything I could have hoped for. Liam smiled, his eyes softening. You don't have to say anything, Emma. Just know that I'm here to help, in whatever way I can. They sat in silence for a moment, the weight of the conversation sinking in. Emma had always been independent, always figured things out on her own. But now, she realized, she didn't have to do it alone. As she left Liam's office that day, her mind was racing. She had agreed to take the plunge, but the reality of what she had just committed to was starting to set in. She wasn't just getting a boost for her art. She was stepping into a world she had never imagined. And with that came a whole new set of challenges, of expectations. Could she really live up to what Liam saw in her? Could she find her place in this new world? As the days went on, Emma couldn't help but feel like she was on the edge of something big, something life-changing. And while she was nervous about what the future held, she knew one thing for certain. This was her chance to make it. She was no longer just a struggling artist. She was about to become something much more. And no matter how uncertain or terrifying it seemed, she was ready to take that first step. Emma had barely slept the night after her meeting with Liam. His offer had stirred something deep inside her. Hope, excitement, and a little fear. She couldn't believe the opportunity that lay before her. But as much as she wanted to embrace it, the pressure was starting to feel overwhelming. She had always worked alone, depending on her own hands to create her art, and now, she was being thrust into a world of high expectations and unknowns. What if she failed? What if she wasn't good enough? The next few weeks were a whirlwind. Liam's team had begun setting up everything she needed: space, equipment, and even a small group of mentors from his network. They were all there to help her make her dreams a reality. Yet, no matter how much support she received, Emma couldn't shake the sense that she didn't belong. She would sit in the new studio, surrounded by pristine canvases, professional lighting, and high-end supplies, and feel out of place. The artwork she had been doing for years, the rough sketches, the imperfect lines, they didn't seem to match the polished environment. The more she tried to adapt, the more she felt like she was losing herself. It was late one evening when Liam showed up at the studio, unannounced. He knocked gently on the door, and when Emma looked up, she saw him standing there, as calm and collected as ever. Hey, he said softly, stepping inside. I hope I'm not interrupting. Emma smiled weakly. No, not at all, she replied, putting down the paintbrush she had been holding. I was just trying to work. Liam walked over to her, glancing around the space. I can see that, but you look like you're struggling, he said, his tone kind. You've been pushing yourself pretty hard these past few weeks, and I think you're starting to feel it. Emma's throat tightened. She hadn't realized how much she had been bottling up. I don't know, she said, her voice faltering. I just feel like I'm not ready for this. I don't know if I belong here, with all these people. This life that's being handed to me. Liam was quiet for a moment, as if contemplating her words. Then he spoke. Emma, you were ready for this the moment you decided to follow your passion. All I've done is give you the opportunity to take the next step. But the work, the heart, the vision, it's all yours. Don't doubt yourself now. Emma swallowed hard, his words sinking in. She had wanted this for so long, but the fear of stepping into the unknown had been holding her back. She realized then that she wasn't just scared of the success. She was afraid of losing the part of herself that had always been true to her art. But what if I lose who I am in all of this? She asked quietly. What if I change, and the art I create doesn't feel like mine anymore? Liam stepped closer, his expression gentle. You won't lose who you are. You're not just the art you create, Emma. You're the passion that drives it, the vision that brings it to life. And if you need to take a step back and rediscover that, we'll make it happen. But don't let fear stop you from moving forward. Emma met his gaze, feeling something inside her stir. She had been so focused on the outcome, on the success, that she had forgotten why she started in the first place. She was an artist because she loved it, because it was her way of expressing herself. She didn't need to change who she was to succeed. She just needed to trust herself. After a long pause, she nodded. You're right, she said, her voice steadier now. I need to trust myself. Liam smiled, his eyes softening. I knew you would get there. Just take it one step at a time. No rush. And remember, I'm here to support you, every step of the way. Emma exhaled, a weight lifting from her chest. For the first time in weeks, she felt a glimmer of relief. Maybe this wasn't about getting everything right all at once. Maybe it was about taking her time, finding her way, and trusting that the journey would shape her art, just as much as her art would shape her journey. Over the next few months, things started to fall into place. Emma spent her days painting, her nights sketching. Slowly, she found her rhythm again. The pressure didn't feel as heavy, and with Liam's unwavering support, she began to open up to the idea that success wasn't just about creating the perfect piece of art. It was about the authenticity behind it. She began to experiment more, to let go of the idea that everything had to be flawless. And in doing so, she created some of the most powerful pieces she had ever made. Liam's offer had been more than just a business opportunity. It had been the catalyst for her to rediscover herself as an artist. And now, as she looked at the work hanging on the walls of her new studio, Emma realized that she was exactly where she needed to be. The days following Emma's breakthrough felt like a new beginning. She continued to push forward with her artwork, embracing the changes that had come into her life. The support Liam had given her made all the difference, but it wasn't just the physical resources he had provided. It was the faith he had shown in her, the encouragement that had allowed her to find her own voice as an artist once more. The pieces she created during this time felt different. There was a depth to them now, a rawness that had been absent before. She was no longer trying to meet expectations. She was expressing herself, letting her emotions pour into the work. And as she did, she began to find her audience. It started small, with a few people noticing her work at local art shows. Then, slowly, the opportunities began to grow. A small gallery reached out, asking if they could feature her work in an upcoming exhibit. The validation felt incredible, but it was also terrifying. This was her chance. This was the moment she had been waiting for, but she wasn't sure if she was ready to step fully into the spotlight. Liam had been by her side every step of the way. He'd helped her navigate the business side of things, connecting her with influential people in the art world and offering advice when she felt unsure. He'd even made a few introductions that had led to some unexpected partnerships. But beyond all of that, Liam had become a constant in her life. They spent more time together, both professionally and personally. The connection between them had grown into something deeper, something neither of them had expected. Emma had tried to fight it at first, unsure of what it meant for her career and her future. But over time, she couldn't deny the pull she felt toward him. One evening, after a particularly long day in the studio, Emma sat across from Liam at a small cafe. The conversation was light, the kind they had shared many times before. But tonight, there was an unspoken tension between them. You've come so far, Emma, Liam said, his voice low. I'm proud of you. Emma smiled softly, looking down at her coffee. I don't think I could have done it without you. I've just been here to help you see what you're capable of, Liam replied. You've done all the hard work. I'm just happy to be part of the journey. They both fell silent for a moment, the weight of their words hanging in the air. Emma knew that Liam's support had been crucial, but there was something else she needed to say. Liam, she began, her voice trembling slightly. I've been thinking a lot about us. He met her gaze, his expression unreadable. What do you mean? I mean, everything, she said, her heart racing. This journey, my art, the gallery, and us. I feel like we've become something more than just business partners. There was a long pause before Liam spoke again. Emma, I've been thinking about it too. His voice was steady, but his eyes were filled with something deeper. I care about you. More than I expected to. More than I should have. The words hung in the air between them, each of them processing what had just been said. Emma's mind raced. She hadn't anticipated this moment, hadn't planned for it. She had always kept her focus on her art, on building the life she had dreamed of. But now, it seemed like the path ahead wasn't so clear. I care about you too, she finally whispered, the admission coming easier than she had imagined. She had tried to fight it, tried to keep things professional, but she couldn't deny the way he made her feel, the way he understood her, the way he saw her potential before she did. But I'm scared, she added softly. I'm scared of what this means, of what it could change. Liam reached across the table, his hand brushing hers gently. I understand, but I'm not asking you to change anything. I'm here for you, no matter what. Emma's heart skipped a beat at his words. She didn't know what the future held, but in that moment, she realized that she wasn't alone in it. She had someone who believed in her, who had been there through every moment of doubt and triumph. And maybe, just maybe, that was all she needed. As they sat together in the cafe, the weight of their unspoken feelings lingering, Emma realized that she was no longer just chasing a dream. She was building a life she was proud of. And for the first time in a long time, she felt truly ready to face whatever came next. With Liam by her side, she felt unstoppable. The weeks that followed Emma and Liam's conversation felt like a whirlwind. Their relationship, once rooted in a professional foundation, now carried the weight of something much more personal. Emma had spent so long focusing on her art and her career that she hadn't expected this connection with Liam to deepen so quickly. Despite her initial reservations, she found herself thinking about him more often, wanting to share her triumphs and struggles with him beyond the confines of their business relationship. It wasn't just the excitement of new opportunities anymore. It was about the way Liam made her feel, the way he believed in her even when she doubted herself. As much as she tried to keep their professional lives separate from their personal connection, the lines between the two were starting to blur. One evening, after a particularly long day in the studio, Emma sat at her desk, sketching out a new piece. The gallery showing was just around the corner, and the pressure to get everything perfect was starting to weigh on her. She glanced at the clock on the wall, 8:30 p.m. She hadn't heard from Liam all day, which was unusual. He usually checked in, asked how things were going, but today he had been silent. As the minutes ticked by, her anxiety grew. She had convinced herself that the silent treatment was just a product of their busy schedules. But still, the uncertainty lingered. When her phone finally buzzed, Emma nearly jumped out of her seat. It was a message from Liam. Can we meet tonight? I need to talk to you about something. Emma's heart skipped a beat. His tone was serious, and it sent a wave of nervousness through her. Of course. Where do you want to meet? She quickly replied. The message that followed made her stomach turn. I'll be at the cafe we went to last time. I'll be waiting. Emma grabbed her coat and rushed out of the studio, her mind racing. What could this be about? Did he want to discuss the direction of her art? Or was it something more personal? She arrived at the cafe 10 minutes later, her breath visible in the crisp evening air. She stepped inside and immediately spotted Liam sitting at the same table they had shared before. He looked more serious than she had ever seen him. There was a distant look in his eyes, and his posture was rigid. Emma's nerves surged as she walked over and sat down across from him. Liam, what's going on? She asked softly, her voice tinged with worry. He looked up at her, his expression tight. Emma, I've been thinking a lot about us, about everything. And I realized something that I should have said sooner. His words hit her like a punch to the stomach. What was he about to say? Was this the end of whatever they had started? She had been so careful to not get too attached, to focus on her career. But now, in the face of his seriousness, everything felt uncertain. I care about you, Emma, Liam continued, his voice quiet but firm. But I've been so focused on this project, on helping you with your career, that I think I've lost sight of the bigger picture. I've been holding back, because I didn't want to complicate things. But I can't keep pretending that this is just about business. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Was he saying what she thought he was saying? What do you mean? She asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Liam hesitated for a moment before answering. I'm saying that I'm falling for you, Emma. And I think I always have been. From the moment we first met, something clicked. But I was too afraid to admit it, to let myself believe that it could work. Emma stared at him, her heart racing. She had never expected this conversation, but now that it was happening, it felt like everything she had been afraid of had come rushing to the surface. Liam, she started, unsure of what to say. I care about you too, she whispered, her voice shaky. But I've been so focused on my art, on making this work, that I didn't let myself think about us. And now, I'm scared that if we cross this line, everything will change. What if it doesn't work? What if we lose everything? Liam reached across the table, gently placing his hand over hers. Emma, we're both taking a leap here. But I believe in you. And I believe in us. We don't have to have everything figured out right now. But we can take it one step at a time, together. His words were a lifeline, but Emma couldn't shake the doubts in her mind. Everything was changing so fast, and she wasn't sure she was ready to face what came next. But as she looked into Liam's eyes, she saw the sincerity there, the same sincerity that had helped her push past her fears in the past. I'm scared, Liam, Emma admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. I don't want to lose myself in this, in us. Liam squeezed her hand gently. You won't lose yourself, Emma. I'm not asking you to change who you are. I just want to be there with you, every step of the way. The weight in her chest began to lift, but the uncertainty still lingered. Could she really balance her dreams with this new, unexpected connection? Could she let herself love him without losing sight of everything she had worked for? As the evening wore on, Emma realized that she didn't have all the answers. But for the first time in a long while, she felt like maybe, just maybe, she didn't need to. She wasn't alone in this anymore. Liam was there, and together, they could face whatever came next. The weeks that followed Liam's confession brought both challenges and growth. Emma and Liam had started navigating the fine line between their professional and personal lives, trying to keep their connection strong while also staying focused on their individual goals. Emma had embraced the opportunity to showcase her art, but it wasn't without its struggles. The pressure of the upcoming exhibition was mounting, and although Liam had reassured her every step of the way, the self-doubt she had battled for years still crept up on her. The night before the opening of her first solo exhibition, she found herself alone in her studio, staring at the canvases lined up along the walls. They were all pieces she had poured her heart into, bold, expressive, raw. But tonight, the excitement of her success seemed to pale in comparison to the fear of whether anyone would appreciate what she had created. She ran her fingers over the edges of a large painting, the brushstrokes thick and layered, each one telling a story of struggle, triumph, and release. The doubts flooded her mind again. What if people didn't get it? What if they didn't see her vision? The door to the studio opened, and she looked up to find Liam standing in the doorway. His presence immediately brought a sense of calm. I was wondering where you went, he said, his voice soft as he stepped inside. Are you okay? Emma nodded, though she couldn't mask the uncertainty in her eyes. I'm just nervous, she admitted. Tomorrow's the big day, and I can't help but feel like I'm not ready. Like all of this is just too much. Liam walked over to her, gently taking her hands in his. You've worked so hard for this, Emma, he said, his voice full of warmth. You've earned it. I've seen you struggle. I've seen you push through when things weren't easy. And look at what you've done. This, he motioned to the canvases around them. This is your story. Don't let fear steal the moment you've worked so hard for. Emma met his gaze, her chest tight with emotion. I'm scared of failing, Liam. I'm scared that after all of this, it won't be enough. Liam smiled softly, his eyes never leaving hers. Failure isn't the worst thing that can happen. Not trying at all, that's the real failure. You've taken the leap. And no matter what happens tomorrow, you've already succeeded. Emma felt her breath catch. His words cut through the fog of doubt she had been drowning in. Maybe he was right. Maybe the fear was only a sign that she was about to do something incredible, that she was on the edge of something big. Thank you, she whispered, squeezing his hands. I don't know what I'd do without you. Liam leaned down, brushing a soft kiss to her forehead. You don't have to do it alone, he said. I'm here, every step of the way. The next evening, the gallery was buzzing with excitement. The room was filled with art lovers, curators, and friends, all gathered to admire the work Emma had poured herself into for the past few months. As she walked through the room, talking with people and explaining the stories behind each piece, she felt a sense of pride she hadn't expected. There was a quiet confidence in the way people spoke about her work, and even the critics who had been skeptical were nodding in approval. Yet, in the back of her mind, Emma couldn't stop searching the room for Liam. He had been by her side through every step of this journey, and she needed to see him, to know that he was proud of her. Finally, after what felt like hours, she spotted him across the room, talking with one of the guests. When he caught her eye, he excused himself and made his way over. His smile when he reached her was like a wave of comfort. You did it, he said softly, his voice full of admiration. You're amazing, Emma. She smiled, feeling a rush of emotions. I couldn't have done it without you, she said, her voice thick with gratitude. This is all because you believed in me. Liam took her hand, his thumb brushing over her knuckles. I didn't just believe in you, Emma. I saw what you were capable of. You just needed to believe in yourself. Emma felt a wave of warmth spread through her chest. This moment, this night, wasn't just about the art. It was about everything she had overcome, everything she had learned, and the person she had become along the way. She wasn't just the artist who had made it to this point. She was the woman who had taken a risk, faced her fears, and kept moving forward, even when the odds seemed stacked against her. You're right, she whispered, her smile growing. I needed to believe in myself. The night went on, and the exhibition was a success, far beyond what Emma had ever imagined. But as the last guests left and the lights dimmed in the gallery, Emma realized something even more important than the accolades or the recognition. She had found her voice, not just as an artist, but as a person, and for the first time, she was finally ready to embrace everything that came with it. With Liam by her side, Emma knew that no matter what the future held, she had everything she needed to face it. Together, they had already begun building something beautiful, and the rest of their journey had just begun. Months passed since Emma's first successful gallery exhibition, and the world she had once dreamed of, but never thought she would truly experience, had now become her reality. The pieces she had poured her soul into were now displayed in high-end galleries, admired by art lovers and critics alike. Yet, despite the growing recognition of her work, Emma felt that the true masterpiece of her life had nothing to do with her art. It was everything she had discovered about herself along the way. The journey that had begun with uncertainty and doubt had brought her to a place of confidence, and most surprisingly, it had led her to Liam. Their relationship had evolved into something deep and meaningful, far beyond the professional bond they had initially shared. Every day, they supported each other, both in their careers and in their personal lives. Emma had never imagined that she would find love, and with it, a partnership so strong, so rooted in trust. Liam had shown her what it meant to believe in herself, and in turn, she had shown him how to open his heart to someone else. Together, they had become a team, both artists in their own right, but also partners in life. Emma now had the freedom to create without fear, to take risks, and to trust that her work would speak for itself. It was a freedom she had never felt before, and it was one that Liam had given her. As she sat in her studio one evening, working on a new piece, the soft sound of footsteps interrupted her concentration. She looked up to see Liam standing in the doorway, holding a small box in his hand. He had a gentle smile on his face, but his eyes were filled with something deeper. I've been thinking, he said, his voice soft but sure. Emma's heart skipped a beat. It had been a while since they'd had one of their deep conversations, and she could sense that this was important. About what? She asked, setting her brush down. Liam walked over to her, kneeling in front of her. About how far we've come. About everything we've built together, both professionally and personally. And I've realized that I don't want to wait anymore. I want to take the next step with you. He opened the small box, revealing a delicate silver ring with a small diamond, sparkling in the soft light of the studio. Emma's breath caught in her throat. Liam. She couldn't find the words at first. He smiled, holding the ring out to her. Emma, will you marry me? The world seemed to stop for a moment. Emma stared at him, her mind racing. She had never imagined this would be her life. She had never imagined that her journey would lead her to a love so pure, so unexpected. And now, here she was, standing at the threshold of something even bigger. She could see it. Her future, with Liam by her side, creating art, building a life together. She smiled, the words coming easily now. Yes, yes, I will. Liam slipped the ring onto her finger, and the moment felt like the beginning of a new chapter, a new story they would write together. There were no more doubts, no more fears. The road ahead was unknown, but they would face it side by side, creating, building, and loving along the way. Emma knew that, with Liam, she had found not only her artistic voice but her home. And as they embraced, the future seemed wide open, filled with possibilities. This was only the beginning of their story, and together, they were ready for whatever came next. Experience an unforgettable journey in this touching story about Emma, a young artist struggling to find her place in the world. From the challenges of starting her career to overcoming self-doubt, Emma's journey is a true testament to the power of perseverance and self-belief. Along the way, she crosses paths with Liam, a CEO who offers her the opportunity of a lifetime. As their professional relationship evolves into something deeper, Emma learns the importance of trusting herself and embracing her true potential. This touching story shows that success isn't just about talent. It's about the courage to take risks, to face fears, and to open your heart. Through each twist and turn, Emma discovers what it truly means to follow her dreams, with the support of those who believe in her. The heartwarming conclusion to this touching story leaves you with a sense of hope, love, and a reminder that no matter how challenging life may seem, you have the power to change your story. This touching story proves that with the right support, anything is possible. Emma's transformation from a struggling artist to a confident woman ready to take on the world will leave you inspired and moved. Don't miss this touching story that teaches the value of believing in yourself, finding love, and chasing your dreams. Discover how Emma and Liam's love story unfolded and how they both learned the most important lesson of all in this touching story. A touching story about love, art, and the power of believing in yourself.